Mining is a critical industry that powers the global economy, supplying the raw materials essential for many facets of life. As global demand for these resources climb, mining operations become larger and larger. So for today's video, we're going to count down the top 15 biggest mining operations in the world. Starting with number 15, Greenbushes Mine, Australia. With the increasing demand for batteries for use in technology like smartphones and electric vehicles, hundreds of mines around the world have opened or expanded in recent years to provide the raw materials that are needed. One of the main metals that's needed is lithium, with ideas that the demand for it is rising by 33% each year. And that's good news for the owners of the Greenbushes Mine in Western Australia, which is currently the largest hard rock lithium mine on the planet. Located around 160 miles to the south of Perth, and itself measuring 1.7 miles long, 0.6 miles wide, and up to 1,500 feet deep, it produces an estimated 2.3 million tons of lithium spodumene each year, which is used to produce lithium hydroxide that's a vital component of batteries, and currently only operates at around 60% of its potential. At full capacity, it would be able to supply up to a third of worldwide demand for lithium in this form, so it's a hugely important site as lithium demand continues to rise. As well as the mine, the operating company also has 2 processing facilities nearby that convert the hard rock lithium into the product that manufacturers need, so they're able to sell directly to the leading battery producers like LG Chem in South Korea, CATL in China, and Northvolt in Sweden. Mines like the one at Greenbushes are a reminder that even though it looks as if electric vehicles will be part of the solution to reduce our carbon footprint, they don't come without any environmental cost. Of course, lithium mines don't currently cover anywhere near the size of coal mines or the oil extraction industry, but with demand for the metal expected to continue to rise in the coming decades, it's by no means insignificant. Number 14, Buena Vista Mine, Mexico. The Buena Vista Mine, which is located in the state of Sonora, Mexico, is a large copper mining operation that plays a crucial role in the global mining industry. The site is operated by the Grupo Mexico, which is one of the largest mining companies in the world, and it's been a source of copper for more than 125 years. The mine is valuable because of its substantial copper reserves, which are estimated to be around 4.5 billion tons of ore, one of the largest known supplies on the planet. It's a sprawling area of rugged terrain where mining activities are carried out in a number of different ways. From the surface, you'll see enormous open pit mines, but underground mining also takes place there too, with state-of-the-art equipment and techniques to extract copper ore. Along with copper, this mine also has an important source of zinc and silver as well, but the constant drive to gain access to the valuable materials hasn't been without its controversy. Ownership of the mine has changed a number of times since it was first opened, and in an attempt to enable the Mexican people to also benefit from the natural resources, in 2014 a large volume of wastewater that contained sulfuric acid and cyanide was accidentally released into the local water system, which forced the closure of 88 schools and required more than $150 million of investment to help clean up. So, needless to say, stricter procedures are now in place to prevent this from happening again as the mine continues to expand. But it's a reminder of how dangerous and environmentally impactful mining operations like these can be. Number 13, Gold Strike Mine, Nevada, United States. The Gold Strike Mine, which is at the heart of the prolific Carlin Trend in Nevada, is one of the most important gold mining sites in the U.S. Owned and operated by Barrick Gold, it sat on 2 deposits, known as the Betts Post Screamer and the Michael Rodeo, which measures up to 6,000 feet long, 600 feet thick, and about 800 feet wide, with an average yield of 0.23 troy ounces of gold per ton of mined material. The Gold Strike Mine is actually made up of 3 distinct operations: the main Betts Post open pit mine and the 2 Michael and Rodeo underground mines. Now, the rock that's removed from all 3 of them is processed at one of the 2 on-site facilities where it's milled, oxidized, and then leached, and the gold that's collected is formed into bars before being sent elsewhere to be further refined into bullion. In 2018, Goldstrike produced a total of just under 800,000 ounces, or about 22,000 kilograms of gold, as well as a significant amount of silver too, figures that represent around a quarter of the total production in all of Nevada that year. These figures make it the 8th most productive gold mine in the world, but with the volume of reserves still to be mined, it's expected to remain in operation at this pace for decades. Number 12, Carajas Mine, Brazil. Located deep within the Amazon rainforest in the Brazilian municipality of Paraguapebas, which is in the Carajas Mountains to the north of the country, the mine is the biggest iron ore mine on the planet. It's an open-pit mine that's owned and operated by Vale, which is a Brazilian mining company, and recent estimates suggest there's as much as 7.9 billion tons of provable and probable reserves of iron ore in the ground. What's amazing about this mine is that it was discovered entirely by accident in the late 1960s when a U.S. Steel helicopter was forced to land on a hill in the region to refuel. There was a team of surveyors on board who noticed the distinct lack of surface vegetation, and upon closer inspection found the iron content in the rock to be as high as 66%. Despite finding it, U.S. Steel wasn't allowed a controlling interest in the site and was instead forced to work alongside Vale before withdrawing completely in the late 1970s. It's such an important site to the Brazilian economy that it was once one of the reasons that the decision was made to build the nearby Tucuruí Dam, which with 25 hydroelectric turbines now provides virtually all the energy requirements for operating the mine. As well as iron ore, it's also rich in other minerals like copper, tin, manganese, aluminum, and even gold, and the mine produces on average around 150 million tons of iron ore per year, an investment that's already been earmarked to further increase its output within a decade. Number 11. The Cobra Mine, Panama. The Cobra Mine, located in Colón, province of Panama, is a large copper mining operation operated by First Quantum Minerals. It's a mine that's become quite important to the global industry, not just because of the reserves that it contains, but because of the strategic position in Central America, and of course its proximity to the Panama Canal that offers shipping across the world. Found approximately 75 miles to the west of Panama City, there's an estimated 3.4 billion tons of proven and probable resources on site, which is split into 4 zones across an area of 53 square miles. This makes it one of the largest mines worldwide to have been open since 2010, with works beginning on its construction in 2013. After 6 years and an investment of $6.2 billion, it was finally ready to begin production in 2019, with the capacity to excavate up to 85 million tons of ore per year. This is expected to yield more than 300,000 tons of copper annually, along with other valuable resources such as gold, silver, and molybdenum. The scale of the mine is almost unbelievable, and to allow it to operate 24/7, the owners had to build a dedicated 300-megawatt power generation plant, as well as a brand new port to handle the imports and exports. The vast majority of the electricity is used to power the 3 28-megawatt mills and the 4 16.5-megawatt ball mills, which are required to process all the ore to retrieve the valuable elements, and they were the largest machines of their type in the world until 2020. As of 2023, this mine alone produces 1.5% of the world's copper production, and this figure is only expected to increase as further developments come online. Number 10. Janang Mine, Botswana. The Janang Mine is in south-central Botswana, around 75 miles to the west of the city of Kalahari. It currently holds the record as being the richest diamond mine in the world and is currently operated by Botswana, which is a joint venture between the Botswana government and the De Beers Group. At its center is one of the deepest open-pit diamond mines on Earth, which reaches depths of over 2,000 feet. This open-pit mining technique allows for the efficient extraction of diamond-bearing ore from a vast geological formation known as the Janang Pipe, and each year 9.3 million tons of ore and 37 million tons of waste rock are removed. This translates to an average annual production of 11 million carats of diamonds per year, which is regarded as an impressively high rate and the reason why it's the richest of any diamond mine. The diamonds produced by the mine are known for their high quality and are highly sought after in the global market, where they can command a higher price than stones found elsewhere. They've become somewhat of a source of pride for Botswana, as they contribute significantly to the nation's revenue, and now, having developed relatively recently, the diamond industry accounts for a substantial portion of the country's GDP. With more than 2,100 employees, it's a crucial operation in the country, and unsurprisingly, there are plans for the construction of several more mines like it to take further advantage of the natural resource. This mine is in the unusual position of actually benefiting the local ecosystem. The investment put into it has funded the development of a town nearby and also a game park, which is a protected space that's dedicated to the preservation and study of cheetahs and the globally threatened lappet-faced vulture. Number 9. North Antelope Rochelle Mine, United States. The North Antelope Rochelle Mine, which is in the Powder River Basin of Wyoming, holds the title of being the largest coal mine in the world. It's operated by Peabody Energy. It's 65 miles to the south of Gillette and produces around 100 million tons of coal each year. To be able to do this, it covers an enormous area, and its open-pit mining operations are vast. Drag lines as well as trucks and shovels are used to remove the overburden, and then the coal itself is taken by trucks from 3 different pits to the dedicated train lines, where it's transported directly to customers. Specifically, this mine produces subbituminous coal, which is primarily used for electricity generation due to its relatively low sulfur content and high energy yield. And while it is currently vital to the country's energy security, coal is still used for electricity production. The future of this mine is unclear as we move to greener technologies. This change in the coal market has already seen operations at the mine being slightly reduced, but it remains and employs almost 2,000 people and is a major part of the local economy. For those that do work there, mining operations can of course be potentially dangerous, but in the summer of 2023 they faced a totally unexpected risk. The site was struck by an EF2 tornado in June, which not only damaged millions of dollars worth of equipment, but also injured 8 people who were on site at the time. Number 8. Oyu Tolgoi Mine, Mongolia. In 2001, in the southern Gobi Desert, Canadian prospectors investigated a site that had first been believed to potentially have rich copper deposits several decades earlier, and found that in an area called Oyu Tolgoi, which means turquoise hill, there was the opportunity to develop a hugely profitable mine. The site, located in Mongolia around 50 miles to the north of the country's border with China, soon represented the largest financial commitment in Mongolia's history, and production began in 2013. Now operated by Turquoise Hill Resources, which is a subsidiary of global mining giant Rio Tinto, in partnership with the Mongolian government, it's believed to hold as much as 2.7 million tons of copper, 1.7 million ounces of gold, 1,900 tons of silver, and 205,000 tons of molybdenum. Operations at the mine took 8 years to reach their full capacity, and through a combination of underground and pit mining techniques, the site's able to process as much as 85,000 tons of rock per day. This results in 500,000 tons of copper per year, a figure that represents 3% of total global production, and more than justifies the $10 billion cost of developing the site in the first place. Mining has become one of Mongolia's most important industries, accounting for 1/3 of its GDP and representing almost 90% of the country's exports. But there are serious concerns about the impact this is having on their environment. With countless endangered species reliant on the Gobi Desert, the expansion of the Oyu Tolgoi mine is currently restricted until adequate measures can be put in place. Operations there have, though, been proven to be extremely profitable and effective, and recently a new agreement has been struck between Rio Tinto and the Mongolian government that's resolved all of these outstanding issues related to the mine. And it paved the way for further expansion, with the majority of what's extracted being sold directly to China. Moving on to number 7, El Teniente Mine, Chile. El Teniente, which translates to mean lieutenant, is an underground copper mine that's in the Chilean Andes mountain range, and it's located at an elevation of 7,500 feet above sea level. It's near to a town called Sewell, which was originally built to house workers at the mine, and at its peak it had more than 15,000 residents. It's known as La Mina by locals, and it's currently operated by Codelco, a state-owned mining company. It's believed that the first people began digging for ore at the site in 1819, but it was when 2 New Yorkers set up an operation there in 1906 that its full potential was realized. By 1971, Chile nationalized copper mining, so the mine was brought fully under the control of the government and currently produces around 110,000 tons of ore per day, which translates to around 460,000 tons of copper per year, as well as various other valuable minerals. Incredibly, these figures are achieved from not open pit mining, but from digging underground, and the site at El Teniente has more than 1,900 miles of tunnels, which is one of the most complex systems of man-made subterranean networks anywhere on the planet. Works are constantly underway to stabilize the mine and to develop new tunnels, but this doesn't come without significant risk. It was here that one of the world's worst disasters in metal mining took place in 1945, when, due to a fire, hundreds of miles of tunnels were filled with smoke and 355 workers were killed, with a further 747 injured due to carbon monoxide poisoning. Since that tragic event, safety protocols are continually updated and revised to ensure that the more than 5,000 workers aren't taking any more risks than necessary as they venture into these tunnels each day. Number 6. Mir Mine, Siberia. The Mir Mine, which is also sometimes simply called the Mir Mine, is an open-pit mine in the Sakha Republic of Siberia in Russia, and it's one of the biggest man-made holes anywhere in the world. Incredibly, it has a diameter of 3,900 feet and reaches a maximum depth of over 1,700 feet. Translating from Russian to mean peaceful, operations on the site first began in 1957 after surveyors found a rich vein of the volcanic rock kimberlite, which is associated with diamonds. And by the 1960s, more than 10 million carats were being retrieved each year, with a fifth of those being gem quality. Of all the stones that have been found in the mine, the largest was discovered in December of 1980 and weighed 342.5 carats. The fancy lemon yellow diamond was so impressive that it was named the 26th Congress of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union and remains one of the largest in the world, and it's kept in the Russian Diamond Fund. The mine's primary output is high-quality diamonds, including both gem quality and industrial-grade stones, which are renowned for their clarity and size, and they've been sought after in the global markets for decades. The top layers of the ground at the mine were, however, the most fruitful, and as it got deeper and deeper, the yield more than halved. Open pit mining therefore ended in 2001, but with the advent of new technologies, Mir Mine reopened again in 2009, but this time as an underground mine to access much deeper kimberlite pipes. While this adds extra complications, in some ways it's easier because at depth, equipment doesn't have to operate in the extreme weather conditions that are present at the surface, where at times temperatures can fall to below -40 degrees Fahrenheit or -40 degrees Celsius. Number 5. The Mong Mine, South Africa. Mong Mine, which is located near Carletonville in Gauteng Province, South Africa, is one of the world's deepest and richest gold mines. It's operated by Harmony Gold. It is the world's deepest mine from ground level and extends over 2.5 miles into the Earth's crust, with some mining operations taking place at depths that exceed 2.3 miles. With the increased temperature, seismic activity, and pressure so deep down, specialized equipment and safety measures have had to be developed in order to efficiently extract the precious metal and to ensure the well-being of the miners. Works were first commissioned on the site in 1987, and now more than 5,400 tons of rock are excavated from the site each day. With current gold prices, the mine needs to retrieve 1/3 of an ounce or 10 grams of gold per ton to remain profitable. And even though the mine contains 2 gold reefs, which are thick veins of the metal, it still hardly breaks even. This is simply because the cost of operating so deep is astronomical compared to the operating costs of gold mines that are closer to the surface. In some parts of the mine, it's even necessary to pump slurry ice into the tunnels to reduce the temperature from 151 degrees Fahrenheit or 66 degrees Celsius to a more comfortable 86 degrees Fahrenheit or about 30 degrees Celsius. To avoid collapsing, any tunnels that are dug also have to be reinforced with a mixture of shotcrete, steel fibers, and diamond mesh netting, which digs further into the potential profits. Still, with so much gold down there, these costs didn't deter the current owner from purchasing the mine as recently as 2020 for $300 million. Number 4. Grasberg Mine, Indonesia. Found near Indonesia's tallest mountain in the Mimika Regency of Papua, the Grasberg Mine boasts one of the largest gold and copper reserves of any known site on the planet. The potential of the place was first detailed in a report from a Dutch geologist in 1939 who noted the presence of some strange black rocks with green coloring, and this eventually led to the development of the mine that opened in 1972. It's now operated by PT Freeport Indonesia, which is a subsidiary of Freeport-McMoRan, and is one of their most important sites thanks to its vast mineral reserves and high-quality metals. It's a site of unusual geology where both open pit and underground mining operations happen, and they use to extract the valuable material. The mine's copper and gold deposits are found in massive subterranean structures known as the Grasberg Block Cave, and to reach it, the mining operations are huge, with the open pit extending nearly 2.5 miles long, 1.9 miles wide, and over 4,000 feet deep. It's estimated that there are 15 million tons of copper, 884 tons of gold, and more than 4,000 tons of silver still in the rock. And at the rate the mine is operating, it will still be removing those valuable materials for at least another 20 years. It's such an important place for the Indonesian economy that it's almost 20,000 employees, its own dedicated roads and pipes to transport the copper, gold, and silver, as well as its own state-sponsored security force to ensure it isn't sabotaged. The risk of this at Grasberg is much higher than in many other mines, though, because of the sheer impact it's had on the local environment. The fact that locals haven't benefited much from the proceeds at all means there are regular attempts to interfere with production, with prolonged strikes taking place every few years and locally arranged blockades and even sabotage occasionally happening to try to force the operators to share the wealth they generate with those who have to suffer the environmental damage that it causes. Number 3. Chuquicamata, Chile. The Chuquicamata mine is in the Atacama Desert of northern Chile and is the largest open-pit copper mine in the world when measured by the volume of material that's been excavated. Around 770 miles to the north of Santiago and at an elevation of 9,300 feet above sea level, it's operated by the state-owned mining company Codelco and has an open pit that stretches over 2.5 miles long, 1.9 miles wide, and reaches depths of up to 2,800 feet. It is an incredible sight to see, and one that continues to be a backbone of Chile's economy. Chuquicamata has been used as a source of copper for hundreds of years, but it was in the early 20th century that it was first developed as an underground mine. By the mid-20th, it transitioned into an open-pit operation, marking a significant shift in how the copper was being extracted. And around the same time, flotation and smelting facilities were built on site to vastly reduce the amount of material that was being transported away from the mine, so as to increase its profitability. Even though mining operations have been going on for so long and at least 500,000 tons of copper continue to be extracted each year, it remains one of the largest known copper deposits on the planet, and there's even room to increase its capacity by about 50% if needed. There are, though, several challenges with this, mainly the environmental impact, including dust control and water management, as it operates in a region with limited water resources. In response to this, Codelco has begun a significant transformation project called Chuquicamata Underground, which aims to transition the mine once again from being an open pit to an underground operation. This project involves constructing a sophisticated underground mining complex and modern infrastructure to access the remaining copper reserves safely. Number 2. The Gartz Mine, Germany. The Gartz mine, which is in North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany, is one of the largest open-pit lignite or brown coal mines in the world. Operated by RWE Power, the mine has long played an important role in Germany's energy production and has been a subject of both celebration and controversy due to its significant size and impact. It is simply an enormous site, with the main mine spanning an area that covers around 19 square miles or about 48 square kilometers. Across this are its deep terraced excavations that extend over 1,200 feet below ground level and give an idea of just how much material has to be removed from the earth there. This is all to obtain lignite or brown coal, which has a lower grade of coal that's used for electricity generation and heat production. The mine's lignite reserves have supported Germany's energy needs for decades and in many ways has become even more important in recent years as the country carries out its plan to transition from nuclear power to renewable energy sources, with coal power filling the gap in the meantime. To extract the coal, machinery at the mine is used to remove overlaying layers of soil and rock, called the overburden, to access the deposits that lie beneath. Some of the biggest machines on the planet operate virtually 24/7 to do so, such as bucket wheel excavators and specially designed trucks. The extracted lignite is then transported to nearby power plants for combustion to provide energy to the grid. Despite its clear importance to Germany, the Gartz mine has faced significant environmental challenges and public scrutiny. Open-pit lignite mining like this has an obvious impact on the environment, including land disruption, habitat destruction, and greenhouse gas emissions from lignite combustion. Furthermore, as it's expanded over the years, the mine has required the demolition and relocation of a number of historical villages and communities that were once nearby. Efforts to address the environmental concerns have included programs such as land reclamation and ecological restoration initiatives. RWE Power, for example, is committed to restoring areas that have already been mined into a usable state. As cleaner energy sources become more reliable in Germany's energy grid, there will be little demand left for low-grade coal like this, as it's barely worth extracting to export elsewhere. This mine is just one of several that currently still operate in the country, but if current plans go as expected, it could be completely closed within 20 years. Number 1. The Bingham Canyon Mine, Utah, United States. The Bingham Canyon Mine, which you may also know as the Kennecott Copper Mine, is a huge site that's on a copper deposit in the Oak Hill Mountains to the southwest of Salt Lake City in Utah. It easily holds the record for being the largest man-made hole on the planet, as well as being the deepest open-pit mine, and it's produced the most copper of any mine in history, with an estimated yield of around 19 million tons. Operations first began in the mine in 1906, and the pit now measures more than 3/4 of a mile deep, 2.5 miles wide, and in total covers an area of 3 square miles. This is so large that it's visible by naked eye from orbiting spacecraft and has undoubtedly changed the landscape forever. Each year, Bingham Mine produces 300,000 tons of copper, 13 tons of gold, 137 tons of silver, and 9,100 tons of molybdenum. with a value of around $2 billion per year depending on fluctuating prices. Unsurprisingly, it takes a highly organized operation to make this possible, so the 2,000 workers use huge electric shovels to remove 450,000 tons of material per day, which are transported by a fleet of 64 large dump trucks and more than 5 miles of conveyors. Even though so much has already been removed, there's no sign that the mine, which was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1966, is anywhere near running dry, and investment is currently underway to expand it further over the next decade. I'll see you guys next time. Watch our binge-watching playlist if you'd like to watch all of our most popular top 15 videos. Thank you to our channel members.